this works.
Let's just, you say, are we?
That's it.
Yes.
On the mix. Hope this works.
Hello, hello. Hello and welcome. Monica, can you say something? Oh, I'm not hearing you. Okay, great.
Can you
Okay,
hear me
yes, I
now?
can hear you now. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, welcome. Happy Friday.
Hello and welcome. Happy Friday, y'all. Sorry, we're managing multiple tech situations here, but we're super happy that you are joining us for our first ever Entre AMA, which is normally an Ask Me Anything, but AUA doesn't have the same ring to it. So we're calling it an AMA. So thank you for joining us. We're super excited to answer your questions that you've been sending in this week and last, and also just provide some like overall like info about who we are, what we do, because we get a lot of questions about that all the time. So we wanted to make this space to open up room for that. Monica, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Hanging out in a rose bush, chilling. I am based out of San Antonio, but born and raised in Brownsville, and we'll get a little more into that. But yeah, as C mentioned, who are we? What do we do? Why at this time? Um, and so really we wanted to offer this Ask Us Anything as a first of hopefully many where folks can feel comfortable, excited to learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it in a way to inspire folks to also either get involved or do your own thing.
Exactly. So I guess we'll get into it. Let's get into it. So for those of you who aren't familiar with us, I'm C. Diaz. I am from the Rio Grande Valley. I grew up in Rio Grande City and McAllen, and I currently live in Harlingen. I'm a filmmaker, an archivist, an artist, and community organizer, and one of the co-founders and current worker owners here at ENTRE.
I am Monica Sosa. I was originally born and raised in Brownsville, Texas. But like I said, I kind of commute back and forth between San Antonio and the Valley. I am one of the current worker owners and curatorial managers who brought Boca Chica Corazón Grande to Entre, and CNI and Andres also, built this up, and it has evolved. And excited to talk a little bit more about that. I am everywhere, nowhere, rascuache artist, as I like to say. I like to create things out of nothing. Sometimes that's good, sometimes not always. But yeah, I'm a mom. I am a big thrifter, and I am a huge cheerleader for community in all of the beautiful artists that I have around me in my world. So I'll stop there.
Yes, so Monica kind of touched on this earlier, but we started Entre in 2021. Actually, October 1st, 2021 was our first Entre event at the McAllen Creative Incubator during their art walk. that fall, and it was amazing. So we're celebrating our 5-year anniversary this October, which is really exciting. And since then, yes, we've evolved, we've shifted and grown on so many levels. And so this is why we wanted to open up this space for folks to learn more about like the nitty gritty back end stuff, BTS stuff that people don't get to see, day to day, what public facing social media posts or blog posts, things like that. So yeah, I'll just read our little mission statement so that way everyone's up to speed. So ENTRE is an artist-run community film center and regional archive that focuses on the creation, exhibition, and preservation of community-made cinema, documentary, video art, and other forms of alternative cinematic expression. Our mission is to provide access, knowledge, and skills in filmmaking and archival practices, inviting more voices to document, share, and preserve the vast narrative of the U.S.-Mexico border communities. We are getting ready to open our doors here in Harlingen next week on Monday for our first screening back in the space since December, since our end-of-year party that we had last December. Ooh, sorry, I'm adjusting our screen right now. We've been working really hard these last 8 weeks on gear inventory, on getting things checked into our library, getting the space ready so it can be open for the public, and we're really excited to start our seasonal programming for spring. Monica, what do you want to share with the people of the world of the internet?
Right. Well, if you haven't been to the space, you definitely should come and check it out. And if it's been a while, definitely come and check it out as well. We've been busy for quite more than 8 weeks.
Yeah, most definitely.
But yeah, the space has, also evolved with us. We're currently building out a dark room, which is going to be activated in the summer, and something that we're super excited about, and looking forward to offering to community members. We are so excited to open up our cyber cafe, as we have been calling it, like an open studios. But before we get in there, I think, as he mentioned earlier, we want to talk a little bit about how ENTRE came together and how it continues forward.
Yeah, I guess we'll give a little background and then we'll go into some questions that we got. So we came to this work in very different ways, which is how a lot of this type of community archival and filmmaking spaces, kind of people come from all different backgrounds, and we're no different than that. I come from a filmmaking background. I've been making films since I was 12. I'm 38 now, so you can do the math, how many years that was. And I worked in the industry for over a decade in post-production, so mostly video editing, color correction, media management, and then also from there getting into moving image preservation and archival. And so learning more how to be more hands-on with film, celluloid, 16 millimeter, Super 8, regular 8, 35 millimeter, all types of formats from all types of film stocks, things like that. I learned how to digitize and prep archival materials for digital restoration projects out in Los Angeles. When I lived out there from 2014 to 2020. I've been involved in various communities centered around independent and artist-made films. So Mono no Aware in Brooklyn and the Echo Park Film Center in Los Angeles were two spaces where I really found my voice and my, cinematic language as a filmmaker, as an experimental filmmaker. I make a lot of experimental documentary work, film poems, short film diaries. I have a very varied practice, and I would like to think none of my films are the same, but I'm sure there's some running themes throughout of all of them once they're all together. I just thought about when I moved back to the Valley in 2021, I really was thinking about, I was having a lot of emotions come up about my youth and my adolescence being here in the Valley. I was really excited to be back, but I was also facing a lot of like, just like, you know, reverberance of like memory and things I wish I had, or things I wish I would have been able to experience, or things I wish I would have done differently. And that kind of led to me thinking about how I wish there was spaces like I had encountered in New York and in LA here in the Valley, because that would have really allowed for me to really step into my power as a young artist, you know, to continue exploring what it means to push the cinematic medium and make films that are outside of the mainstream, and knowing that that's like an option, as well as like knowing that things like our audiovisual archival like practices and work are also career paths that are available to young creatives, you know, and people who are interested in history and preservation work. And so that, based on all of that stuff that I had been exploring, it living outside of the Valley, I kind of brought all those pieces together and developed a manifesto, as it's been called, and sent it around to a couple of people, Andres Sanchez being one of them, back in 2021. And, you know, thankfully he was down, and we embarked on this mission to create ENTRE together. And not very long after, I encountered Monica through an online Zoom yoga / movement class that she was facilitating for Sueños y Fronteras, I believe, a fundraiser for Sueños y Fronteras, and just really loved her energy. We connected afterwards over email and phone, and then we finally were able to meet in person at our favorite coffee shop in the Valley, Bandera Coffee Company. Shout out Bandera in Harlingen. We met, and immediately we knew that the stars had aligned to bring us together to work on not just, you know, this important memory work in our region, but like healing ourselves through this work as well. So we embarked on the mission for Boca Chica Corazón Grande, and I'll let Monica talk a little bit more about that. But just so you know, like, this has all been happening since 2021. These relationships were forged that year. And so, yeah, I believe in divine timing and things happening when they need to. And I feel like it was just the right moment and kismet for all these energies and people to come together and spark the birth of this space, which has really like changed and evolved and exploded in the past 5 years, and we're super excited about where it's heading and the new people that are coming into it. But I'll stop there, just so you have that my origin story to ENTRE. And I'll let Monica tell her origin story to ENTRE.
We could talk about this, honestly. I mean, we talk about it a lot because it's always kind of wild to think of, how it felt so almost, it felt like fate. It kind of, everything aligned. These things that had been, for instance, for me, I'm, again, Brownsville, first generation college graduate. So kind of like embarking a lot of new territory, especially in higher ed, and really as a youth in Brownsville who was growing up in the 2000s, that was definitely a big time for Matamoros night outs kind of thing. And so that was the offering that a lot of our youth, at least in Brownsville, were kind of like pulled towards. And so, I mean, yeah, that was a whole other culture, time, place, but definitely feeling that desire to want to expand and learn and grow, and that unfortunate reality that I think many of us from the Valley have to kind of sit with. It's like, well, do we make the choice of consciously staying here and trying to survive with what is here, which is, there's a lot. It's just, it's not accessible, or accessible to only a few. And so my pathway, my journey led me through UTB. I was the last Scorpion. And through there, I went through school through scholarships. I was also, my father was a Vietnam veteran, so there was that Pell Grant as well. And so I did scholarships, grants. I went to France. I went as far as I could for a while through the education system. But saying all that, I think even when I was far away, there was such a yearning and like close, deep connection that I've never ever, that has never left me. And if anything, it's gotten stronger throughout the years. And always been a nostalgic person. I did communication studies because I had this desire to want to communicate better with people. I'm still learning. But fast forward through my life, I've worked mostly in the nonprofit sector. I have about 15 years there in that field, but at the intersection of arts and culture. So a lot of my work in women's centers, at overnight migrant shelters, volunteer opportunities, and even just like independent mutual aid initiatives center marginalized populations and use art and culture and memory as vehicles towards healing, towards understanding, towards connection. And it's not always easy and it's always changing. But I think I feel compelled and felt compelled to work in archives, although I never had the languages for it. But meeting C again, like it just felt like a and it's awesome. There's just ways that we are able to navigate and flow with one another in terms of these things, and it is a reminder that we can learn from one another. It's lifelong learning, and it's awesome. And there's so much that we all can offer to each other. So going back to the day at Bandera, we met, and I brought the idea of Boca Chica Corazón Grande, and that's really all I had was this title. But then it became more because of the fact that we had all these huge entities that are continuously threatening and destroying Boca Chica and our South Texas region. And so with this, we took that narrative. C was able to do some research, and we found that there was a super limited amount of any type of archival records that highlighted Boca Chica Beach. And so from there, it really launched us into a whole other layer of like this work. Like not only is it personal because either we personally experienced Boca Chica Beach or Rio Grande City or the different elements that are brought to in this region, but it's also because our history, our experience, and the beauty and hard work that has been put into this land is being erased and continues to be erased and or not preserved well. So in that, I think we both felt very strongly to have this as a memory space, but also going back to that creative space, right? Like I would have been a whole completely different person. I mean, maybe it is what it is. I'm happy with who I am and where I'm at. But I'm just saying, if something like Entre existed, especially the fact that it's not in a higher institution, like this is open to all, I think really would have changed the dynamic. And it does excite me that Entre exists now. It does excite me that we found each other. And I say me, C, and y'all who are here in our community. And that we get the ability to work with so many people who are also kind of in the same path of wanting to see something that really represents us for the beautiful, amazing, awesome community that we are in the Borderlands.
Yes, beautifully said. Yeah, I think, we both want to see spaces like Entre, like exist. We deserve to have spaces like this in the Valley. Everyone deserves to have access to arts, culture, and community. We're building a beautiful community of folks who are coming to watch films together and then get to know each other, then collaborate with one another, or get more involved at the film center or in the archive and learning new skills. And I think and we go back to the idea of healing. Like I feel like that heals so much of our ancestral trauma that we've been, that has seeped into our psyches, our bodies over generations of living here in the Borderlands, a highly contested and, a region rife with tension in so many ways and layers and violence. But we're also here not to heal that through this work is so meaningful. At least for me, I feel like it's healed a lot for me, working through this and having this as a creative outlet and a project, and seeing it like really evolve into something that could sustain itself beyond, you know, my involvement, beyond Monica's involvement, and continue to bring in new folks who believe in the mission and want to see it continue on into the future. So we're really happy that we found each other, that we are finding the people who want to be here, and open to hearing like people's ideas and how we can continue to make this space more, just conducive for everyone's creative imagination. So that's a little bit about our backgrounds and how we came to this work at ENTRE. And I guess we can talk a little bit about our structure, because we, like, you know, as we've talked about, we are a cultural space, a creative hub. We serve the whole Rio Grande Valley, although our headquarters is located in Harlingen, downtown Harlingen. I'm here right now. So this is where our micro cinema lives. This is where our garden lives. This is where our gear closet lives. Our digitization station, all the good stuff that we have to offer the community is housed here. But we do go out into the community quite often and bring our offerings to other places. We are not structured as a normal arts nonprofit organization because we are not a nonprofit. Our status, we are a worker-owned cooperative, and technically that means we are a business, but we do not sell anything except dreams of a better future. And not even then, it's more of a barter than a transaction, trying to trade skills and resources with one another to better our futures. So yeah, we're a worker-owned cooperative. Right now, Monica and I are the two worker owners, so that means we take care of all the nitty-gritty from day-to-day finances to making sure our building is maintained, to managing our inbox, our social media, our lo que sea, everything. We have more than 10 plus like positions that encompass the worker owner role. But if you stepped away, if you step back and saw all the different arms of things that we have to keep on top of and be responsible for, they're all their own jobs in themselves. So we do juggle a lot as two worker owners. But the reason behind choosing this structure is because we believe in the fact we believe in like fully autonomous systems of governance. We wanted a space that could be collectively run and managed by a community. That way more people can be involved, that the responsibility and the labor is shared across different, people with different skill sets. We honor that people are coming from different backgrounds and have different knowledge to share. So the reason for the cooperative is to have different voices, to have different backgrounds, people who can step into these roles as either future worker owners or volunteers or contractors, whatever that may be. We wanted to just have that collective feeling rather than a top-down, someone being an executive director and making all the decisions on behalf of the org. We wanted it to be people-centered and making the people who are making it up have that decision-making power, and also having that responsibility to our community and listening to what our community wants and needs, and integrating that feedback into our programming. Do you want to say any extra stuff, Monica, about co-ops?
Of course, I do. Yeah, and kind of going back, and something that I always try to remind myself and each other is that we are a part of community, right? We are part of the same ecosystem that we're trying to create here. And it was, again, another alignment. Choosing not to be a nonprofit is pretty awesome. And when I learned that Seed was working in this direction, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Because, again, as someone who has operated in the nonprofit field for so long, it is it can be very heartbreaking, and these systems and the frameworks that it operates in, I think, are vicious cycles. And so I think this time, I mean, we've been navigating really challenging times for a long time, generations, right? But more than ever, we need to really experiment and take risks and build alternative pathways, alternative economies, alternative approaches and strategies, because the things that, for instance, yeah, going back to how we want to be able to share power, build with folks, like this is not done in a silo and it's not done alone. Even with just even when it was like just C and I or C and Andres or the three of us, like even in that, there's so much, and it's labor. It's a labor of love, because this is more than work. It's not a 9 to 5. Like we don't clock in and clock out. And a lot of creatives and people who are in service in this way might feel similar, right? And so, again, that idea of having the autonomy to move and build together, but autonomy also requires organization, and it requires accountability and responsibility. And that's a whole other layer of a dynamic that we're always learning too, right? Like things move and things evolved in both our community and our personal worlds. And so that's a reality we all encounter in our workspaces. So how do we actually build an environment that is going to sustain us and allow us to build that quality life, that quality labor, that quality programming, offerings for ourselves and each other? And so I share that because I think it's common for us not to consider how we as arts administrators, as artists, as cultural workers, come to these places, and it's so important. It's so important for how we are brought on, how we build, how we bring people in, and that ability to just continue again to like have those open doors and curiosities to see each other in the strengths and the lights, and really help one another through those challenging places that are hard to navigate alone. So yes, I love that we're not a nonprofit. And as he said, we are not, we're a business, but we don't sell anything except love and creativity. But,
sometimes
how do
we have merch.
Right? Yeah, there's cool merch.
There's sometimes we have merch. Sometimes, most of our stuff is free for the community. Our workshops are always, sliding scale, subsidized. We also offer scholarships to all our workshops. At least 2 slots are always free for community members who cannot, can't afford that one fee or whatever. Like we want to make this accessible to all. So the thing is, like, yeah, we are a C Corp, we're a cooperative, not a nonprofit, but we are fully grant funded, just to be extremely transparent. So we're very fortunate that we've been working with funders who want to support our mission, who believe in the mission, who also believe in an alternative model in this industry. And so we're very grateful and lucky that we have encountered so many great financial strategists, cultural strategists, all these people that we have in our network who we can bounce ideas off of, who we can share why we're designed this way, who might be interested in also shifting their model to a possible collective or cooperative model. So we're trying, it's an experiment. Just from the beginning, ENTRE has always been an experiment. It's meant to be an experiment. That's why the co-op is important, because it allows for people to be cycling in and out. We do have term limits as worker owners. That's something that me and Monica have worked last year to set and get some stuff in writing, so that way we're leaving behind a legacy for people to refer to and also update as needed. What we write down in our solidarity principles, which we're hoping to publish at some point this year publicly once we get everything under a good design and flow. Part of our solidarity principles is this term limit for worker owners, and that means after 9 years, which is the term, it's a term of 3 terms, which is 3 years per term, so 9 years total. In numerology, 9 is a closeout year. It's the year of closing out cycles to begin again in as a 10 or a 1, if no matter how you look at it. And if that sounds really out there, it's just something that we believe spiritually that we're aligned with, and we feel like that amount of time is a good time for people to step into these roles and really bring in like the projects, the people, the programming, the ideas, because a lot of these programs and these projects, they take time. So you can have one idea and it'll start seeding, but it won't fully bloom until like 2 years later maybe, and that's totally the way we respect that amount of time, and we take that very seriously. We're very intentional about how we plan our programming, so that way there is a lasting impact. Nothing feels rushed or urgent in the sense that it needs to happen now. Like, yes, there are things that need to happen, there are immediate actions that need to be taken, and we are ready and willing to step up when that is necessary. But for the long game, we try to plan with intention, with care, and with flexibility for just life happening. I mean, as we've been in this, post 2020 world, we've had to really, really like understand that idea about flexibility and grace for one another and each other and ourselves as we move through this really important and also very heavy work sometimes. Because it is, like Monica said, labor. It is time, it's energy. So yeah, that's a little bit about the structure. We can go on for a pretty long time about the co-op model, but we won't get into it nitty gritty because we didn't really get that many questions about that. Yeah.
Well, maybe just kind of highlighting how we went from volunteers to moving into, because we haven't been grant funded the entire time. So just kind of acknowledging a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we did receive our first grant was from the Mid-America Arts Alliance in 2021. So we that was like what allowed us to like launch. But it was a $20,000 grant, so that's not enough to sustain people's livelihoods doing this type of work. We used that money to really get our business legal stuff situated. We bought gear. We were able to print stuff, like make cool posters and stuff. We were able to commission artists to create stickers, which one of them has now become our logo. So since then, so we got a great logo out of it. Shout out Joseph Nuncio. He will forever get free merch from us, forever and ever till the end of ENTRE. And yeah, so, but like I said, that's not enough to make a living wage as an artist. Is $20,000 is more spent for the community, for the venue rentals, for the concessions. Like we always have free snacks, stuff like that. All these things, these little things add up. So yeah, we did start in a more volunteer capacity where at the beginning it was like Monica, me, Andres. Monica was working remotely from San Antonio on the ideas behind Boca Chica Corazón Grande. We would meet periodically to discuss what kind of offerings or events we wanted to do for the project. And then with Andres and we both I've been freelancing for a very long time in video editing and post-production work. So I was freelancing at the time, doing color correction and some editing work, and Andres was also working full-time at a few places. So we both had full-time gigs, and so did Monica, actually. We all had full-time gigs. We were getting paid in different ways, and doing this as our labor of love side project, trying to figure out where we're going and what kind of offerings we want to have. And then as things kind of evolved, we started receiving grants to continue the work after showing how it made a pretty big impression on the community when we opened, or when we started, I'll say, because we didn't open a space until 2023. But we made an impression on the community, and we saw the need and the want for this type of offerings, these type of resources to be available to our people across the Rio Grande Valley. So yeah, we were able to secure more funding, and as we were able to secure more funding, we were able to pay ourselves small, modest stipends a month to do the work of maintaining the administrative, the financial, the scheduling, the outreach, all of that. We did that for about $500 a month for a while, until we were able to continue building the development model and our grant applications and asking for more funding, so that way we can really commit ourselves and our time to this work. It's really hard to do this work when you're also juggling a full-time position. So the dream has been to like try and figure out a way to make worker owners salaried employees of the organization with benefits, just so that we can be taken care of and enjoy the work that we're creating in the space. And this is also why we are a cooperative model, because we want to be able to directly reap the benefits of the passion, the energy, the labor that we're putting into this work, and not be considered like a disposable cog in the wheel that can be released at any time, which is what we've seen a lot happen in these types of arts and culture nonprofit environments. I'll stop there.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's really important for folks to know a little bit of, I mean, it's been a long journey, right? And yeah, a lot of these ideas, I mean, are coming also from inspirations that we've had since we were children and young adults, and but yes, I think it's important for folks to know that we are grant funded and we advocate pretty hard behind closed doors for ourselves and for our community. And there is this interesting shift and desire, I think, in the field, or not desire, a desire from us to make sure that we are trying to push against the narrative of having community sustain us and it be flipped around, where it's like foundations, people, funders, any type of regranters are directly investing in us and our community and not telling us that it's restricted in this way or that way. It's like working with those organizations who already have those experience, who already have developed the relationships and who know their community. And so really also, as C said, in this world, right? In this world, workers aren't treated with the respect and value that they deserve. Creatives, organizers, caregivers, all these folks. And so our goal, not only in creating the space and creating alternative models, is to also create an avenue where we are opening up more doors to be compensated and valued in the way that we deserve, and that way we can also compensate and bring on people with that same like ethic and desire to see each other grow and prosper, because money is a tool. It is a tool that we need in this society, and it doesn't have to be seen. And I'm still learning how to work with it, right?
We all are.
Yeah, because it's a thing that we were like, shh, don't talk about it. But at Enter, we talk about it all.
We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great segue to one of our questions, which was submitted anonymously, no screen name attached. So it reads, how do you all learn the business side of the work, like financial management, employee policies, and stuff like that? And do you have any resources for that you'd recommend? Thanks for this question.
Yeah.
Anonymous caller. Monica, do you want to take a little stab at answering a little bit of that?
I mean, the business aspect, again, sometimes some things seem intuitive, but it has taken years of experience. So for instance, I'll speak on my own personal experience, but again, I've made a list and I've had about 40 jobs in my life. Wow. I started off as the Chuck E. Cheese rat, and look at me now, Mom. I'm an Entre worker owner. Because I feel like every experience that I've had, whether it was like as a worker or a volunteer, a student, a mentee, that has essentially helped inform the way that and now together we are taking on Entre. And so when we talk about finances, we are very transparent. We try to be very honest and equitable with the distribution. We always make sure, like one of our principles is to make sure that no one is ever getting, like if we're bringing on someone to do contract or full-time, there is an element where no one is getting paid more or less than a certain amount. because we want people to also know that, living wages are important. Financial stressors are huge and shift people's perspectives and abilities to be present and show up. And so, yeah, employee policies, finances, that all goes together because they're all resources that help sustain lives. Employee policies also from lived experiences, from watching the way people are disposed of, not invested in, not taken care of, those type of employee policies have led us to create solidarity principles. C mentioned them earlier, but that is a guideline that we are using for ourselves as worker owners, for folks who are coming on as volunteers, committee members, contractors, and hopefully soon worker owners. And so the solidarity principles are essentially like our policies. They guide our distribution of power, of finances, whenever there's any grants. Right now it's C&I, but we talk about it openly, and we document everything as well. If there's any, like sometimes, yeah, we document anything and everything that
Everything
happens.
gets documented.
And so
Everything has a paper trail.
yeah, and the financial management, we use things like Airtable. We work with the CPA. C has an incredible mind and vision, calculator style.
Yes. Oh my God, I have my calculator that you gifted me for Christmas over here. Okay, so I'll chime in now because
yeah.
I am the numbers person here, so I crunch all the numbers and do budget audits for Entre on a monthly basis.
Baby.
I check our bank account every week, maybe sometimes 2 times a week, depending on what we have going on. Develop budgets to then present to right now Monica and our other collaborators and contractors that we work on, to make sure that rates sound right, that equipment purchase line items are decent, things like that. How did I learn all this? I've been freelancing, working for myself since I was 20, so like almost 2 decades, like in a couple of years. And so I learned a lot doing that in my early 20s. I really was not good at any of this stuff. I did not know how to invoice. I did not know how to track my budgets. I did not know how to write down expenses. All that stuff was very much learned as I went. And all the times I got burned, I learned how to protect myself in the future by, writing up MOUs, memorandums of understanding, invoicing after a certain, time after I finished a job, following up on those invoices, if I didn't hear from the person. Been chasing checks for a long time. So with Entre, it's really taught me, it's a bigger beast than just independent work and contract work that I was doing. But I feel like money is a tool. When we're looking at our budgets, we're starting to see okay, we have this amount to hire people. Who do we want to hire, and how much should we pay them, and what is the timeline, and what are their roles and responsibilities, and how can we also provide mentorship and things like that, so I would say a lot of the financial knowledge has come from a lot of experimentation and learning, failing or challenging moments in my own personal life, and also just being in the film industry on the back end of stuff, seeing a lot of how producers worked. And I consider myself a producer too. I produce a lot here at Entre, and in general I produce everything I shoot, so everything that I make is produced by me, and producers are the ones that are doing all the logistics and the budgets and things like that. So I think it kind of just came naturally in a sense after through my filmmaking background and production background. But right now we are super blessed and super honored to have financial consultants and strategists who we were put in contact with at the end of 2024. We entered a cohort of 10 regional community archives across the US, and we've been working with them. We're working with this cohort, and everyone gets a set of financial strategists to work together on building resiliency in our organization through finances. and we'll be working with them till 2027. So we're really happy to have them. It's really helped me and Monica understand a lot of the jargon that especially comes with nonprofits. Like we mentioned before, we're not a nonprofit, so some of the stuff doesn't apply to us, but it is helpful to know how other nonprofits manage their budgets and money and things like that. And being able to talk about it with other organizations and their leadership is so important, and just kind of helps build that solidarity between organizations that are all doing similar work in different parts of the country, and all facing similar challenges, especially right now. And we also had last year, we had a strategic planner help us develop our solidarity principles, which are what Monica said is similar to what employee policies are. So that's what we've been working on since last March. I believe we started last March. We started drafting the solidarity principles with our strategic planner. That was something that was a great resource given to us through the Color Congress, which is another organization that we are heavily involved in. One of our first major grantors in 2022, they gave us a 2-year unrestricted grant to continue doing the work, and that's how we were able to do our documentary intensive in 2022, alongside many other things. But we've been a part of this Color Congress organization, or it's like a big membership of 90, I think it's already up to 100 plus BIPOC-led film orgs, mostly nonfiction film organizations across the US. And we meet every month. We have wonderful 2-hour meetups every month to talk about different things that are coming up in our landscape, membership, updates, things like that. And we also work with those members outside of those meetings in shared programming, consulting, just checking in with one another. So I think right now we're really supported in those ways where we're able to make really informed decisions because we have people on our side that can be the people we can talk to about things that maybe don't make sense to our artist minds, which is a lot. Our CPA, also shout out Amber out in Laredo. She just really helps break down stuff for us sometimes, and takes care of all our tax stuff and legal business filings and things like that. So we have a team of people, although the day-to-day nitty-gritty is myself and Monica. So it's just we have that support from the outside, and that's how we've been operating for the past already 5 years.
To add to that, I know we're 10 minutes.
Yeah, and we have another question, so we can answer that too.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes me think of behind the scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Color Congress, everything that we're doing with our consultants. And so, yeah, I think ENTRE is doing a lot behind the scenes. So although there's a lot of forward-facing programming, we have things that are going on in Harlingen or in the Rio Grande Valley, like C and I are also often, writing grants or applying for fellowships or cohorts like the ones that we are now participating in. We are working to build solidarity principles, which we were able to complete the first iteration after a year. And so the continuation of building the type of infrastructure and foundation that we want at ENTRE is also always happening behind the scenes. And so even thinking about, I share this because our ecosystem wasn't built overnight. It was also a part of things that, again, like bringing things together, right? Different elements that every worker owner or anyone who has entered into the ENTREsphere brings. And so it's just a reflection of our community as well. Like we have, we take our relationships serious. We're pretty hardcore when it comes to our friends and family and people we love. And so because of that, yeah, there's just that element of, what are we doing? Who are we trying to build with? How are we creating this ecosystem that will not only sustain our region, but also help inform others and vice versa? Recently we also, speaking of cohorts, they just announced, and the Rio Grande Guardian just mentioned how we were brought into the Methodist Health Ministries as a part of the Prosperemos Juntos, Thriving Together. And so there's an announcement where, we're also doing this type of work that intersects art and culture with public health and well-being. So everything is rooted in art and culture. Everything is rooted in us as people, and everything is rooted in the things that we see and feel and move through with our community. And so, in that, we are here to champion art and culture in all areas, especially when it comes to healing again. And healing isn't linear, healing doesn't happen overnight either, and it may not happen very quickly either. You know, it's just the reality. But prosperamos juntos, right? Thriving together. That's an exciting opportunity for people to come together and think about power shifting. So, Entre is very involved also in advocacy, on the ground organizing, mobilizing, thinking about folks that we can have those intercambios with so that we don't have to do everyone's work. We don't have to know everything. And I think that's why it's important to connect with people who do have those experiences or who do have that knowledge or skill or those dones, right? Some people are just like, it's the don. But yeah, just behind the scenes, there's definitely a lot of meetings going on.
So many meetings. Our calendars would scare anyone, I feel. Or like overwhelm, maybe. I don't know. They're very colorful though, so we like to make it pretty. Pleasing aesthetically. Yeah, no, I mean this stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum, and we don't have all the answers for everything. And that's, that's part of our ethos and our principles here at Entre. We are Entre. We're between things, we're bridging things, we're connecting those dots, and we live in that in-between space. So we are that like in-between conductor of like, okay, we need this information, who do we know, what networks do we know, and we just kind of synthesize and bring that together and find ways to solve problems in a collective way is helpful, like rather than trying to do it on your own. Like we don't want people to feel that they have to do this on their own. So I hope that answers your question, anonymous caller, about finances. We'll probably be talking more about that, in the coming months and stuff on Entre TV, which is our YouTube live stream. And I guess these last 5 minutes, there's one more question, then we can like close out with some updates on programming, so that way people know what's coming up. So you want to say this one?
Of course. We have a question from Brown's Villain. Can you maybe as an us Entre or a community member, we can answer both, do a film script writing workshop?
The answer is, of course we can. We can totally host something like that. We'd love to. I think of a couple of people that come to mind right now that could be a great facilitator for this workshop. So, I'm not a screenwriter. I wasn't trained in screenwriting. My films usually don't have dialogue, so I don't really write much about my films. They're more vibes based, I guess. But script writing is an important skill, especially for emerging creatives who want to explore filmmaking and narrative work. And I mean, script writing is done for everything: commercials, documentaries. Even experimental films like my own could benefit from some sort of script writing session. So, I think the answer is obvious. Like, yes, we would love to have that. So just need to figure out who can facilitate it, when they can facilitate it. So if that's you listening out there that wants to teach a workshop, we'll definitely keep this question in mind as we move towards our summer and fall seasonal calendars, so we can start being on the lookout for people. We want to hear from you all about what you would like to see more of at Entre, so we can start reaching out to the people we think that would be able to facilitate that. We are planning some workshops that are coming up this year, so they'll be announced soon. But we're always looking for suggestions to see what other people are hoping to get out of the space.
And always invite folks, if you are that person that wants to facilitate that workshop, or if you want to propose a screen or program something, like that's also an invitation. So there's multiple roles that people can find themselves in at the space as well. And if if also there's volunteer opportunities and committees that we're currently in the midst of putting together, and it's been really sweet. And so, yeah, that's another way to get involved too and learn as well.
All right, I'm switching us over to our last little scene that says follow our work. Many of you might already follow us, but you can check us out on entrefilmcenter.org. We do have a calendar there that has all our programming. It's always up to date, so you can always know what we have going on at the space or outside of the space using that calendar function. And then we also have a blog that allows for more in-depth writings and recaps of programming or projects that we do, so check that out. You can follow us on Instagram at entre.tx, and we have a newsletter. The link is here. The link is in our link tree on Instagram. It's in our, I think it's on our website. I mean, I have to update that. But we definitely have the tiny URL here. Tiny URL /subscribe to the number 2 Entre. So if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, we definitely share a lot of information there every month, and now twice a month. So if you want to sign up and hear what we have to say and what we have going on, you can do that. And this coming week, we're reopening the space. So if you want to come watch movies for free, we have a screening on Monday, doors at 7, film at 8. And then our weekly Wednesday series starts to kick off. So every Wednesday at Entre, we'll have a movie, a free movie, doors at 7, film at 8. Some movies will be listed. Some movies will be surprises. For April 1st, our first weekly Wednesday back in the space, we'll be having VHS roulette, which means an audience member gets to choose what we watch. So if you want to have the opportunity to peruse a select films from our library that our programmers will pull, and you get to have your selection based on that lot of films, come through. It's a lot of fun. You never know what you're going to get. We've got free popcorn and snacks. Encourage people to bring snacks to share with other folks if you want, like cookies or whatever. And yeah, small dogs are also welcome at Entre as long as they are well behaved. I guess small large dogs too, but we have a couple of Shih Tzus in the mix here recently. But yeah, Monica, is there anything we want to end on?
No, I think, yeah, it's 2:00.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for joining us on this Friday or whatever day that you are watching this. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. I think also, I was thinking maybe we can just leave the AMA link up permanently, and people can just submit their questions at any time, and we can answer them either on Entre TV in the future or in our newsletter. So, or in, as a social media thing. So if you still have questions, you didn't get your question in, the form will be up, and we'd be happy to hear from you. And if you have any proposals for us, whether it's a film or a workshop or an educational event, write us at info@entrefilmcenter.org.
Or if you want to host us at your library, or of a center, cultural center that would be interested in an archival workshop or anything of making a film without a camera, cine sin cámara, please invite us.
Awesome. Well, I'll play our bumper again to close us out, and thank you all for joining this Friday afternoon. We'll see you all at Entre. Bye.
Bye, y'all.